Some people inherit high blood pressure. They inherit the genes from their parents. You know, your dad is hypertensive, increases your risk of hypertension as well. But genetics do not have to write the final chapter of your health story. So even if hypertension runs in your family, there are lifestyle choices that you can choose to do today that would delay or even prevent complications. Some people are born into storms that they didn't create, but a wise person builds a strong house so the storm doesn't destroy them. My name is Dr. Izie. I'm a GP and a lifestyle medicine physician. If you are new here, welcome. And if you've been joining us, thank you very much. I am here to help you take responsibility for your health before disease takes control. Many people don't realize that they are slowly creating their own health crisis until it becomes too late. In Luke chapter 6, verse 43 to 45, the Bible talks about how we know a tree by its fruits. So imagine walking through a garden filled with trees. You see a tree that's very strong, very healthy. You know, the branches are full, they are vibrant, they are giving fruits. You don't have to ask if that tree is well cared for. You can tell by what it produces. And then you see another tree. The leaves are withered, the branches are tired, they are just scarce. And then the fruits are bitter, sometimes even rotten. I guess you don't have to ask what's gone wrong. You know that something has gone off for a long time. That's exactly the same as our health. What we put into our bodies and how we treat our bodies, whether we neglect it or whether we treat it with love, it all shows up at the end. There are 5 different causes that we're going to look at in depth as to why our blood pressure becomes high. And I'm sure you already know what the first one is: the food that we eat, which is the silent builder of high blood pressure. You know that a man who eats only rich foods and neglects the grains of the earth is like a house filled with silver but with no foundation. So let me break this down a little bit more. Your blood vessels are designed to expand and contract smoothly, continuously. But when you eat too much salt, when you eat too much processed foods, when you eat unhealthy fats, your body does what? Begins to hold on to excess water. That's one way. So because of the excess water, this increases your blood volume. So it's like pouring too much water into a small balloon. It stretches your arteries beyond their normal capacity. And over time, that constant pressure and stretch, it weakens your artery walls and it begins to become stiff, it begins clogged, and it becomes inflamed. So let's imagine again our water pipe analogy. Remember that if you keep increasing the water pressure inside that pipe at first, it's okay, it holds, it's not a problem. But over time, the water strains the pipe, and what happens? It becomes weak and it also becomes brittle. And one day, without warning, explosion. It just breaks, it explodes. So let me ask you, what are you feeding your body today? Are you fueling for life, or are you poisoning for destruction? Another thing that allows us to get high blood pressure is a lack of movement. I think I have said this so many times, that our bodies are built to move. You know, the body was made to move. A stagnant body is like a lamp hidden under a basket. And that's not what we were made for. Movement keeps our blood flowing. Hear that again. Movement keeps our blood flowing, our arteries flexible, and the pressure in our vessels balanced. When we sit for too long, what happens to our blood vessels? The blood pools in our arteries, forcing the heart to work harder. So because there is reduced movement, we see that the vessels becomes quite stiff because there is less nitric oxide in our vessels. And then with also less movement, there is more resistance, which equates into higher blood pressure. So let's think of a river again. When the river flows, the water stays clear and fresh. Remember, the river is flowing. But when the river stops, what happens? It becomes stagnant, it becomes murky, it becomes full of debris. And that's exactly how your blood works, the exact same way. When you move, it stays clean, it works well. But when you don't, pressure builds up and it becomes like a sludge in your arteries. And that's where all the problem starts to come from. So let me ask you again, what if moving your body daily was an act of worship? What if taking care of your strength was a way to honor the body and the life that God has given you? Another thing that causes our blood pressure to increase is stress, the unseen killer. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, that we should cast all of our anxiety on him because why? He cares for us. When you are constantly stressed, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. And these hormones, They keep our hearts beating fast. And what happens to your blood vessels? They become what? They become tight, which raises our blood pressure every single time we worry. So every time you stress, your hormones go up. When we argue, when we fight each other, when we rush through life without resting, over time, this constant state of flight, fight, response, it wears our arteries out and it keeps our blood pressure high. Imagine this again. You leave your car engine running at full speed all day, every day. At first, it would still run, but over time, what do you think would happen? Trust me, that engine will begin to overheat. It would begin to do what? Break down. And one day, smoke will come from the back, from the front, from everywhere smoke can come out from. That's exactly what chronic stress does to your heart. How many sleepless nights? How many times do we have to worry? How many anxieties have we been quietly going through that raises our blood pressure little by little? And there's an amazing way to fix that. Deep breathing, meditation exercise, mindful rest, intentional rest. Schedule your rest in your daily activities. This will help bring down your cholesterol, your cortisol levels, and it will help your blood pressure to come down naturally. Another one that causes high blood pressure is excessive weight. When we carry more weight than we should carry. Let's remember again in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, that our body is the temple of the Lord. When we overload it, the foundation will crack. When we carry extra weight around our bodies, it forces our heart to work harder, to pump harder, to move through a larger body. It makes it more difficult. And when we have fat stored around our belly, it produces chemicals, inflammatory chemicals, that makes our arteries stiff. Excess weight also causes insulin resistance, which leads to high blood pressure and a higher risk of stroke. Imagine a bridge that is designed to carry a certain weight. Like, I love this analogy because it does bring it home. And then we overload this bridge. What do you think will happen? You will first hear a crack, and then the bridge will give way over time because it will weaken, because it would not be able to carry the weight that we've put on it. It would collapse completely. That's exactly what excess weight does to our arteries. How do we fix this? Do you know that losing 5 to 10% of your body weight currently can lower your blood pressure dramatically and completely turn the tide in the opposite direction? Another thing that causes high blood pressure is genetics. This is an inherited battle. This is nothing that you have done, because some of us are born with burdens, not out of our own making, but just, it happens sometimes because of the families that we've come through. But wisdom can also lead to healing. You know that regular checkups, eating healthy, regular exercise schedules, managing your stress levels can help you stay ahead and turn the tide of your genes. Hypertension doesn't get high overnight. No, it happens choice by choice, day by day. But the good news is that you also have the power to turn things around, choice by choice, day by day. So let me challenge you, if you will allow me, to take action today. So which of these areas that we have discussed do you struggle with the most? We all have different struggles in our lives, and that's okay. But identifying your struggle and starting to work on them is what will change the tide. I want to help, so comment below. I want to make a change today, and I can reach out to you and help you. No matter where you are in your health journey, it's never too late to turn things around. One small change today can lead to a lifetime of better health. I'll be here to guide you. If you are ready to take control of your health, make sure you follow for more. Let's break free from hypertension together. Thank you.